Ego, Slendy, Ego, Slendy, hey. Hit it up the park. Hit it with a strike. From the national anthem to the bottom of the night. I'm in Slendy, Ego, Slendy, Ego, Slendy, Ego, Slendy, hey. You already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. But you know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 388 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden with you here. It is April 23rd, 2023. I'm in a good mood. The Padres took 3 out of 4. San Diego wave. They just beat LA. They just beat Angel City 2-0. So we got a good San Diego sports weekend that just happened. We got the day off tomorrow going into Wrigley for that 3-game set with the Cubs, and there's another day off. Then there's the series in Mexico City against the Giants. So there's a lot of good baseball to look forward to and some good baseball to talk about here on this episode. If you have any thoughts, you want your thoughts known, leave those in the comments. You want to make sure that I get to one of your comments or some of your thoughts, you can leave a super chat in the comments, and I will definitely get to all of those. Just a quick reminder, before we get started, you can follow me on social media at Talking Friars, on Twitter, on Instagram. You can use code Talking Friars on SeatGeek for $20 off your first order with SeatGeek. Use Underdog Fantasy for great pick'ems and drafts. Breaking Tea for good San Diego sports swag. You can click that link in the description, and you'll find that there. And visit Gaglione Bros, famous cheesesteaks and subs at Petco Park, Snapdragon Stadium, their main location on Friars Road for some great cheesesteaks, some great garlic fries. Without further ado, let's get started here. Talking about this Padres Diamondbacks series. Padres took 3 out of 4. Hopefully my internet is good today. It should be fixed. I went the Jib Russell route and got an Ethernet cable. So hopefully that is fixed. It's plugged into my laptop, so I can't use the mic, but hopefully I'm not going in and out and you can hear me clearer because I know that was a little bit of an issue, these last couple weeks. For anyone that's been watching or listening to the show consistently, last couple weeks, few weeks, it's probably been an issue. Hopefully it's better today. Adrian right off the top says, do you know if Darvish is okay? Yes, that is good news coming from today's game. We can start with today. Padres win 7-5. Darvish went 5 2/3 innings, and he gave up 1 run, struck out 5, which is not a lot. That was the exact number that Underdog Fantasy had entering today's game. The more concerning part was the 5 walks. And then in the 6th inning, trying to get through 6, and he comes up after a pitch and he's kind of hopping around, and that right hamstring, I guess it was just cramping. That's the latest update. And according to AJ Cassavell, I saw on social media today, Bob Melvin told the media that Darvish is fully expected to make his next start, which would come, I believe, next Sunday in Mexico City against the Giants. So everything is fine there. It's not like an actual hamstring injury. It seems like it was just cramps on that right leg. So there's good news there. The 5 walks, that needs to definitely improve. But this isn't like a Blake Snell thing where Darvish walks a bunch of guys in most starts, right? Like, I'm not really concerned about that. That just definitely stood out in today's outing, that's for sure. But what a day from Matt Carpenter, huh? 6 runs driven in, 1 run, 3 hits combined in his last 2 games. Today, he drove in 5 runs, had 3 hits. He had a sac fly that drove in a run, right? He had a home run, which I believe is his 3rd home run on the year. He had a home run earlier in this series as well. So he is starting to turn it around. Now, I know it's just 1 series, so you don't want to jump to conclusions or anything. But what we saw out of Carp this series was definitely encouraging. And this was the Carp that Yankees fans saw last year when he was healthy, right? He was hitting like Babe Ruth with the Yankees, using that short porch definitely to his advantage. With the Padres here, hit a couple off the wall at Chase Field, and those would be home runs in some other ballparks. He was hitting the ball hard. He was locked in. So I don't know if the Padres are just going to decide to ride with the hot hand and just not have Nelson Cruz hit much in this next series against the Cubs, or if they're going to continue to go matchup based. Because Nelson Cruz, he got off to a hot start, but a lot of those were fastballs. Recently, I saw in Kevin Acey's newsletter, I think it was yesterday, Nelson Cruz has really struggled against the breaking ball. The other day, he was thrown, I think, 7 pitches in total. All of them were breaking balls. All of them, I believe, were out of the zone, or maybe 6 out of the 7, or maybe 6 of the 7 Nelson swung out and were striked, because he struck out twice in that game. I think it was yesterday. So he has really been struggling with the breaking pitches, and so that scouting report's definitely out on him. Bomel's going to give him opportunity still. It's not like he's just going to ride the bench, but maybe they have Carpenter get a little bit more playing time than Cruz, because Carpenter's the one that's hitting better right now. But I would expect it to go back to a matchup base platoon at some point this year, if they do have Carpenter get most of the playing time, maybe for the next week until he isn't this hot at the plate, because he is really hot at the plate right now. So they finished after this series. Padres take 3 out of 4. Yeah, 3 out of 4. They finished a stretch to begin the season of 24 games in 25 days. They had one off day. They didn't even have an off day traveling back from New York to San Diego before, I believe, that Brave series. No off day there. So the schedule definitely has been tough. 4 out of 5 of the teams that the Padres have played so far, they've had a couple series where they've already played, like the Diamondbacks, they played a couple times. The Braves, they played a couple series against, but the 5 teams that they played against, 4 of them have winning records right now. And I know in the postseason, right, every team's going to be good, and they're going to be facing a lot of good pitching in the postseason. But when you look at some of the schedules from other teams in baseball, like the Pittsburgh Pirates, that's more of a generous schedule to start the year. And so I think the Padres would have a little bit better of a record if they had like the Pirates schedule compared to the schedule that they had. Now, I'm not trying to make a bunch of excuses. I'm just laying that out there. It's a fact that they've had a tough schedule to start out here. It will get probably a little bit easier. There's going to be more off days. They have 2 off days this week, tomorrow on Monday, and then they have another one on Friday, traveling from Chicago to Mexico City. And then it's just a 2-game series against the Giants. The Padres, they've had a lot of 4-game series so far this season. So it's going to slow down a little bit for the Padres, which I think is only good for them. They finished this 24-game and 25-day stretch 12-12. And that's without Joe Musgrove for a lot of this stretch, right? He made 1 start. That's with Blake Snell struggling. That's with Michael Wacha struggling in his last couple of outings. That's with Juan Soto and Manny Machado struggling for most of these 24 games, right? That's with Jake Cronenworth getting off to a little bit of a slow start. He had a good series here against Arizona, but he got off to a little bit of a slow start. That was without Fernando Tatis Jr. for the first 20 games. So considering all of that, the tough schedule, being without some key guys, no Robert Suarez, right? Being without some key guys, a key starter, having to use not having to, but they chose to go with the 6-man rotation, and the bullpen was up and down at times. The offense was inconsistent. They still find themselves at 500. And so I think Padres fans, we got to take that, be happy about that, and just move on. And you pretty much act like it's 0-0 because you're 500, same amount of wins as losses. So I like today's win. Just this series. I mean, look, the pitching, yeah, the bullpen at the end, Honeywell gave up a couple home runs. Tim Hill gave up a home run, but Hader got the save. And Honeywell, he got out of that big spot. There was the bases loaded. I forget what inning. Was it the 7th, maybe the 6th? I think it was the 7th. No. It was when Darvish came out, so the 6th. Bases loaded, and Honeywell throws the splitter, right? Throws it up in the zone, gets the strikeout. Now, the next inning, he went back to that, like the same location, to a guy that wasn't a lefty, to a guy that was a righty, and that was just right into his sweet spot. But at that time, it was like a, 4-run game, so it was still close there. Then the Padres added on some insurance, which helped. because I think it was 5-1 at the time. Then the Padres made it 7. They had 7 runs there, so I think it was 7-1 at one point here, before the Diamondbacks obviously made it 7-5 obviously at the end, but 7-3 after 7. Then they picked up a couple more runs, made it 7-5. Padres, they finally out hit the Diamondbacks. And what I noticed from this series for the Padres is that it was some of the others that came through. Manny, I think he's still getting off to a slow start. He was dealing with the back issue, and we'll get to that, talking about Saturday's game here in a moment. Juan Soto's still not himself. Just some pitches that he'd hit 450, he's swinging through or not swinging at or grounding out. So he's not himself. But some of the others came through today, or just this series overall. Jake Cronenworth, he had a pretty good weekend. Matt Carpenter had a great weekend, drove in 6 runs, right? You look at Croney today, let's see, 2 for 3, scored 2 runs, drove in 2 runs, had a couple gappers, a triple, a double. So that was good. Ha-Seong Kim the other night came through with a big 2 RBI hit, right? Grish, I think it was on Thursday, the 7-5 win. 2 7-5 wins in this series for the Padres, by the way. Grish came through big on Thursday. So it's some of the others that lengthens this lineup, that really shows the depth that this lineup can have when those guys at the bottom of the order are clicking. So I was encouraged by the offense. I mean, yeah, they got shut out on Friday. That was not great, especially after, Thursday scoring 7 runs. Just the inconsistency, right? Seven runs on Thursday, 0 runs on Friday, 5-7. So up, down, up, a little down, just some inconsistency, right? Offensively with the run production. But like Ha-Seong Kim on Saturday, 2 for 28 entering Saturday's game. And he comes through with that big hit that gave the Padres the lead. So just showing the depth. Starting pitching wise, we'll get to Musgrove, obviously. Darvish, look, it's a results-based business, right? The 5 walks, that was not pretty. That elevated his pitch count, right? I was fine with Bob Melvin leaving Darvish in there before he exited with the cramps. I was like, yeah, it's you, Darvish. Give him the ball to end the 6th there. Keep it in his hands. Give him that opportunity to get out of it. And if he can't, he can't. But the offense was clicking today. And so you just have faith in you, Darvish. And that's what Bob Melvin did. Now it sucks that he had cramps. But Honeywell was able to get out of it, so props to Honeywell. I know he gave up a couple home runs the inning after, but that was a big spot right there in that game. I thought, bases loaded in that situation, and he gets out of it. This bullpen, it's been really rock solid. Steven Wilson has just been tremendous. So just to recap today's game, I mean, Carpenter, what a game. Croney had a really good game as well. Croney's been great defensively at first base, I think. I don't know what Padres fans' expectations were of Croney at first base, but he's probably surpassed them. I know he had the ridiculous play yesterday, him and Bogarts, but he made a good double play earlier in this game with Darvish on the mound, fielding it, tagging first, throwing to second, tagged by Bogarts to get out of the inning. I think they did that yesterday in Saturday's game as well. So the Padres, they get back to 500. Manny now, and the Padres, they get the off day tomorrow, which I think is good, right? Manny, he was dealing with the back tightness, and that's why he did not play on Saturday. He did have a helmet on, but he did not play on Saturday. Was back out there today. It didn't look like it really bothered him. There were some good swings. There were some balls that were hit pretty deep. There were also some pop-up, at least one pop-up that I remember. He still has to find it. Soto still has to find it. But again, I'm going back to my optimistic view. Like, Soto and Manny have not clicked yet, right? Not clicked. Tatis just got here. Musgrove's been out. Suarez is out. There's been inconsistency on the offense. 4 of the 5 teams they played have winning records, and this Padres team is 500. They've had 1 day off so far this year, and they're 500. So I'm going to take that. It's like, just wait till the lineup's clicking, till Musgrove gets settled in. I don't know when Suarez is coming back. I'm not going to count on that right now because that's months away. But guys are going to find their grooves, I think. And you can call me a homer, whatever. Yeah, I'm a Padres fan. I'm also looking at the track record of Manny Machado. I'm looking at the track record of Juan Soto and saying they're going to come through at some point. They're going to find it. We're just all waiting for that, right? So Sunday, today, Padres win 7-5. We will get to Saturday's game after a quick break. Check out Gaglione Bros' famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries on Friars Road. You can visit their website, gaglionebros.com, for their entire menu and enjoy their cheesesteaks and fries at Petco Park and Snapdragon Stadium as well. All right, so getting to Saturday's game, the Padres won this one 5-3. Tatis got his first home run of the year. That was great. The exit velocity was not very impressive. It was, I think, in the 80s. But that's just his strength. So first inning home run there. Bogarts continued. He still has gotten on base in every single game so far this year. So props to Xander on that. I think his on-base streak now is, 26 games dating back to last year. His last couple games with the Red Sox he got on. He's been so impressive. Impressive defensively, impressive at the plate, taking his walks. I just freaking love what I'm seeing so far out of Xander Bogaerts. Carpenter had another RBI yesterday. Crony had an RBI. Ha-Seong Kim came through. And that was a big spot because I'm not going to sit here and say that I wasn't worried that the Padres were not going to come through there. I think it was bases loaded, no outs in that spot when Ha-Seong Kim came through there. Let me double check what inning that was. I think it was the 6th. Or was it... Sorry, wrong game. I was checking the box score of today, not yesterday. I think it was the 6th. Yeah, top of the 6th. I think it was bases loaded and no outs, right? Cruz was sent up as the pinch hitter. He strikes out, breaking balls. He's really been struggling there. Crony strikes out. And so Ha-Seong Kim comes up. And entering yesterday, like I said earlier, 2 for 28 entering Saturday. 2 for 28. Really scuffling at the plate. And he comes through 5-5 hole, 2 RBI single, gives the Padres the lead in that spot. That made it 4-3. Crony comes through with a single to give the Padres an extra insurance run. They ended up not needing it, but you're always going to take it. Padres get the win. Joe Musgrove obviously returned yesterday, and he wasn't at his top level, I don't think, on the mound yesterday. I think he'll say that. But he was only given 80, 85 pitches to work with. That was the Padres' goal entering it. They didn't want him going over that, but they wanted him to help the team at the big league level. So they put a pitch limit on him and said, yeah, here you go. Do whatever you can in those pitches. And he threw 80 pitches. 80 pitches, 53 were strikes. He goes 5 innings, gave up a few runs, did give up a home run. But struck out 6, did not walk anyone. Anyone that knows me, I love when you see that box score and a Padres pitcher didn't walk anyone. A Padres starter didn't walk anyone. You're not giving away extra free passes, right? I love that. And then the bullpen was huge. Steven Wilson, a .66 ERA so far this year. He's not going to get talked about a lot, probably among definitely national media, but Padres fans, probably not going to talk about him too much because we're going to remember the starters. The offense is a big topic of discussion, but Steven Wilson has been tremendous. He has not allowed a run in, I think, his last 9 or 10 appearances. Tremendous. Weathers, his first relief appearance yesterday. He went an inning, didn't give up a run, struck out 1. He's not done anything to – let's first talk about him being moved to the bullpen. So him and Nick Martinez are being moved to the bullpen. I don't know if some Padres fans listening or watching did not know that, but now you know if you didn't know. Musgrove coming back. The off days that are coming up, they're going to have more frequent off days on the calendar. So it made sense for the Padres to go to a 5-man rotation, get Darvish, Musgrove as many innings as possible, get them into a rhythm, right? Their routine. I assume they prefer pitching every 5th day, not every 6th. So just get them like that. You can improve the bullpen with Martinez and Weathers there. You can give Martinez a little bit of a rest a little bit. He's still going to contribute. He'll probably be pitching on Tuesday, the first game of the Chicago series. He last pitched on Wednesday against the Braves, pitched tremendously. But the Padres, they wanted to avoid having him go in this series, just wanted to give him that rest after he went almost maybe over 100. I think he went almost 100 pitches in that Wednesday start against the Braves, where he gave up, I think, 1 run in 7 innings. He was great. But yeah, so Weathers, I mean, his 3 starts, he didn't allow more than 2 runs. He did nothing wrong. It was just a numbers game. So he was sent to the bullpen. And the velocity was not as high as I think some were expecting, maybe because some thought like, hey, Ryan Weathers going to the bullpen, just you're not going to have as many bullets. So just go, just empty the tank in that one inning that you're going to go. I thought he might go multiple innings just because that's a big drop off to come from, 5 innings to 1 inning. But that's what they ended up doing with Ryan. Didn't give up any runs. Tim Hill did not give up any runs. Feels like he's pitching every day. A 1.80 ERA so far for him this year. Weathers' ERA is 2.65. And then Hader comes in. He gets his 7th save of the year. He got the 8th save today, so he has 8 on the year. Hader, 0.90 ERA. So for the 4 relievers that pitched, the ERAs are all sub 3, sub 2.7 if you really want to go into it. It's been pretty good. I mean, look, the bullpen, right? It was a topic of conversation the first couple weeks of the season with Chris Matt and Domingo Tapia, but it seems like now guys are settling in. They're coming up big, and the bullpen, they're getting a boost with Weathers and with Martinez coming in. So I like what I'm seeing definitely as of late from the Padres bullpen. They get that 7-5 win, and what a defensive clinic Bogey and Crony put on was that the 8th inning or the 9th inning? I forget I think it was the 9th. But that play, it's up on my social media at Talking Friars on Twitter and Instagram. You'll probably have to scroll a little bit because I have a lot of highlights up, a lot of clips up. But it's a chopper, and I guess Kim didn't hear or didn't understand Bogarts. Maybe the language barrier a little bit. Bogarts told Kim that he had it. It's a chopper. Kim goes for it, doesn't get it. So Bogarts kind of has like an obstructed view a little bit. He said he was going to dive, but then Kim was there, so he didn't dive. And so he kind of slid and had this like miracle pick. And he gets up quick, throws it over to first, and it's a little off. Crony has to have like a backhand at first, scoop it, and it wasn't just a regular scoop. He was like on his belly, on his stomach, scooping it, just stays on the base just enough to get the out. It was a tremendous play. I don't know if that made SportsCenter top 10, but it definitely should have. If it didn't, then SportsCenter is just not watching the Padres game because that was a tremendous play on both sides. And Bogey and Crony have been tremendous pretty much defensively on both sides the whole season so far. I know we're just in April, but so far, so good. So I'm definitely impressed by those two. And we know Manny defensively is really good. We know Hassan Kim made a diving play the other night. So this infield is one of the best in baseball. I think Tatis is getting more comfortable in right field. The first couple of nights in this series, he airmailed cutoff men. And yeah, I think it was yesterday, there was a ball hit to him. Runner is going to third. And instead of airmailing the cutoff man, I don't know if it was 1 hop or it was 2 hops, but it was just a line drive. It was a much lower throw. So he's learning, made some good plays defensively, running down the right field line or running into the right field corner. So Tatis, I would not be surprised if he ends up being nominated for a Gold Glove this year in right field if he stays healthy, or if you see some on MLB Network or something, if you're flipping on that channel, them having a breakdown on him or, appreciating how pretty good he's going to look this year. So far, I think he looked good. That's what I meant to say. I think later this year, it's just going to get better and better, and he's going to be one of the better right fielders, I think, in baseball because he has the talent to do it. He has the arm to do it, the athleticism, the speed. It's just going to take time, learning the little things, right? And communication is one of those, I think. So it's just a matter of time. All right. Any comments here that I wanted to get to before getting to Friday's game? If there's anything that I miss from some of these games, just feel free to let me know. Because some of these games did happen a few days ago. Irie says, hopefully this is a start to one of those carp streaks, I think is what Irie's trying to say. I keep hearing about but never seen. Yeah, well, against the Yankees, or not against, when he was with the Yankees, he was tremendous until I think he fouled the ball off of his foot, and then he got that was the injury, so that really slowed him down. But yeah, he got off to a slow start this year, but he's been looking good these last couple games, and that's a small sample size, but it seems like he's pretty locked in right now. So yeah, let's get to, so we just hit on Sunday and Saturday. Moving to Friday, this game, more inconsistency, right? First game of the series, they score 7 runs. But then on Friday, they didn't score any. And Zach Gallen was great. But to only have 2 hits, you can't expect to do much, right? In the postseason, and a lot of Padres fans, they're probably going to bring up the argument, well, Ben, Zach Gallen, yeah, he's good, but in the postseason, the Padres are going to be facing a lot of good pitching. So doesn't this worry you? And it doesn't worry me right now because we're in April. But yeah, it was disappointing that they couldn't muster together a run on Friday night. That's for sure. Juan Soto was looking at pitches that he should be mashing. So he's just not there right now. He's just not there right now. This was Tatis' second game. He got his first hit, 1 for 4. That was like, I guess my, what do you call it? Silver lining, I guess, in this terrible loss Friday. Tatis finally got his, not finally, it was his second game, but he got his first hit. Because that was like really the only positives. I mean, well, Lugo's another positive, and Raker, I guess, going that 7th inning, shutout inning there, got 2 strikeouts in the inning, got obviously his first strikeout in the major league this season. Appeared a little bit for the Padres last year. But Lugo, he bounced back. So that was encouraging. 6 innings, 2 runs, did not walk really anyone, walked 1 guy, and struck out 6. Location was pretty good there. The breaking ball, it's usually always good. The fastball velo's there. And I don't know if anyone who's listening or watching has the same thoughts as I do with Lugo. It feels like that fastball can get on hitters really fast. Like there's zip on that fastball. I like what I'm seeing so far from Lugo. Sure, he didn't have his strongest outing against Milwaukee. What was that, last weekend? But the other outings have been pretty darn good. And so Lugo, he didn't do anything wrong. 6 innings, 2 runs. The Padres should be able, with the offense that they have, if guys are clicking, they should be able to score 3 runs and beat the Arizona Diamondbacks. So looking at Seth Lugo's game log so far. First outing went 7 innings, 1 run. Was great. I think 22 of 25 first pitch strikes. Tremendous. Next outing in Atlanta, 6 innings, 1 run. Then he doesn't make it through 4 last weekend against Milwaukee. But then on Friday, 6 innings, 2 runs. So, and if you look at the walks, right? So his second outing, 4 walks, but first outing, no walks. Third outing, 1 walk. And then this past series against Arizona, 1 walk. It's not like he's going to go strike out 10 guys probably, but he's going to throw a lot of strikes. He's not going to give a ton of free passes away. So there were some positives, but just offensively, I mean, Soto 0 for 3, Manny 0 for 3, Crony went 0 for 3, Nelson Cruz went 0 for 3, Grish went 0 for 3, Kim went 0 for 2, and Sullivan 0 for 3. But I'm not going to sit here and be bashing Brett Sullivan. He's the 3rd string catcher in the organization. He's only up because Campy's hurt. And the update on Luis Campusano, by the way, left thumb remains immobilized in a soft cast, and it isn't known when he will play catch again. So that's not great. Last weekend, I was at that Sunday day game, and before the game, he was warming up bogey, but he wasn't catching the ball. He was just throwing. So I don't know if he's still just throwing. I assume so, but he's not actually like fully playing catch. So we don't know when that's going to be. So Brett Sullivan's probably going to be with the Padres through the Mexico series next weekend, which I'm fine with Brett Sullivan being on the roster. I mean, I'm fine with it. I know a lot of fans, they're not fans of Austin Nola. So they're like, hey, why not? Let's go give Brett Sullivan some starts. And I'm not opposed to that. But I also realize that some Padres pitchers, Padres starters, they're not super familiar with Brett Sullivan because Sullivan, he was with Italy, the WBC. That's like however long that was, 2-3 weeks that he was away from the Padres camp and not catching Padres starters. Then he was in El Paso, not at the big league level. So it might take some time there. And if a starting pitcher is more comfortable with Nola and he's pitching well, the Padres are probably going to go with Nola unless he's caught like 4 games in a row or something like that, right? And if the offense can click, right, we saw some encouraging signs in this Arizona series. If the offense can click, the Padres, they can survive with Nola not doing anything in the 9-hole. I know it's frustrating, but we have to just live with it right now. Like the Padres they can't do anything about it right now. Campy's hurt. It's early in the season. Other teams aren't going to go make trades. And what are the catchers out there that are free agents? Why would you bring them in and all of a sudden just have them come in when they haven't worked with Padres pitchers at all? You know, the catching situation, it's just different, right? Devin says with the day off, hopefully it gives Manny, Soto, and Kim a breather. Yeah, I agree. Manuel says once they start clicking, they will be fine. It's still early. And that's kind of my viewpoint on it, right? We're how many games are we in? 24 games into the season so far. I said like 40 to 60, I think is a good number to really start making big observations about this team. Like, do they have enough? The offense as a whole, the pitching staff as a whole. And we're obviously, we're not there yet. We haven't even got a month into the season, right? Opening day was March 30th. It's April 23rd right now. So getting back to the 9-0 loss. Yeah, that was not good. Their first hit, when was their first hit? Their first hit was what? I think probably the 5th inning. Because the first inning, Tatis struck out, Soto grounded out, Manny struck out. Oh, no. Second inning, Bogarts doubled, so that kept his on-base streak alive. But then Gallen retired 14 guys in a row. Like, that can't happen. I know Gallen is really good, and he was nasty. And Bob Melvin was saying after the game, Gallen, this is like the best that the Padres have seen him. Like, watching on TV, I can agree with that. But you can't have 14 guys go down in a row like that when your offense is supposed to be that good, one of the best offenses in baseball on paper, right? That can't happen, regardless of who the pitcher is. I know you're going to have off nights, but it's not like this was just one off night. They've had many off nights to start the season, right? But again, they're 500 with a lot of inconsistency on offense, and some players haven't been healthy. Some players have underperformed, tougher schedule, not many off days. So I think it's only going to get better from here. I think that's how Padres fans should be looking at it. So Padres, they take 3 out of 4 in this series. I already hit on Thursday's game in my Tatis reaction. I believe that's episode 378. So you can check that out if you missed that. But basically that game, it was pretty much me. My opinion was I was just happy that Tatis was back. Made a good play in right field down the line. Didn't get a hit in that game. That first hit would come the next day. Then the first home run would come the day after that. I was just happy that he was back. I mean, it did seem like it energized the team a little bit, but then on Friday they lost 9-0. So, that kind of just goes back to me. I just don't really believe in momentum a whole lot in baseball. Like, baseball is just so hard. It's not like basketball where sure you can face a tough defense, but you're shooting. It's just you shooting into the hoop. With hitting offensively, like there's a lot of different pitchers. And some guys are just nastier than others, or some won't be on their game. And one night, maybe a couple hitters are feeling it, or they have really good numbers off of this certain pitcher. But the next night, they suck off of this pitcher. Or one night it was a lefty, another night it's a righty. Or one guy is breaking ball heavy, the next night he's not. And so maybe Ha-Seong Kim struggles on the day that the pitcher is fastball heavy, like something, it's just different. So I'm not a huge believer in momentum. I just, whenever things are going well, you just pretty much say, hey, let's hope that they can continue to play this well. And maybe they found something mechanically, right? Because again, there's a lot of different pitching matchups. But yeah, so far, I mean, if we go through this Padres schedule, and you know what? Let's go through this Padres schedule here, like series by series, the first 24 games. Let's go through that after this quick break here.
I want to tell you about the best and easiest way to play fantasy sports. It's Underdog Fantasy. They have great pick'em games and best ball tournaments. In pickup games, just pick higher or lower on 2 to 5 players' stats, and you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. You can go cross-team, cross-league, and even cross-sport. Best ball revolves around the draft, which is what every fan loves the most about fantasy, and it eliminates the hassle of having to manage your roster all season long, resulting in a fun and easy fantasy product. How does it work exactly? You enter a contest where you participate in a snake draft against other users. That lineup that you drafted competes against every other draft in the entire contest. The better the combined performance of your team, the more money you win. After your lineup is all played, Underdog will take the best performing players and automatically set them as your starting lineup. That's it. No waivers, no trades, no worrying about who to start or sit. After you complete your draft, your part is done. Underdog Fantasy offers best ball in a variety of ways, including daily contests, weekly contests, playoff contests, and season-long contests. You can either enter into these and compete against thousands of other entrants for huge prizes, or, if you'd like, you can enter into a private draft with friends and family to compete for a smaller prize pool. Underdog keeps it super simple with their easy-to-use website and mobile apps. Sign up now by clicking the link in the description or by using the promo code TALKINGFRIARS, and you'll double your first deposit up to $100 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit of $10 or more. So if you deposit $100, you get $100 free. If you deposit $10, you get $10 free.
All right, let's get to the Padres, just the schedule, the first 24 games. So they split the first 4, right? That opening series against Colorado, they lost the first 2. Everyone was in panic mode, right? Not the start you want. Then they win the last 2 of the series. They split that mini 2-game set against Arizona. They had the day off April 5th. That was their last day off. April 5th. It's a long time ago in a baseball season to not have an off day. They played 4 games against Atlanta in Atlanta, took 3 out of 4. No off day, go to New York, lost 2 out of 3, no off day. Fly across the country, play against a hot Brewers team, and they lost 3 out of 4 there. Then they finish the homestand, 3 games against the Braves. They lose those 2. 2 out of 3. They lose the series. No off day, travel to Arizona, and then they take 3 out of 4. That's a tough schedule. To have 1 off day to start the year, April 5th, and you have no off days. You have to face the Braves, Mets, Brewers, Braves, Diamondbacks. That's pretty tough. And you add that on to the fact that Soto, Manny haven't gotten going. Crony had a slow start. Musgrove had 1 start in this stretch. Tatis just came back. Carpenter had a slow start. Robert Suarez isn't healthy. The bullpens was a little rough at the beginning. They're 500. And they're going to have more off days coming up. 12-12, I'll take it considering the circumstances. Maybe that's just me, but I'll take that considering the circumstances. All right, let's get to the chat here. I have some injury updates as well that I'll share with you. I'm trying to see where I was in the chat here. Irie says Pirates are 16-7. What the F? Yeah, good start. I mean, if you look at their schedule, it's pretty nice to them. Definitely not as mean to them as the schedule makers were to the Padres, at least to start the year. But that means the Padres will have more off days, right? And the schedule evens out for pretty much everyone. Irie says, I got a good feeling about Lugo. I do too. I'm going to be curious to see how long Lugo lasts in the rotation. He's not going to be in the rotation the whole season because the Padres, they want him, ready and healthy for the postseason. You're not going to have Lugo start the whole year when he hasn't thrown more than 100 innings since 2018? Like, that's not going to happen. So when does he leave the rotation? For how long? How does Nick Martinez do probably in his place? And what role is he used, late in the season? I think it's going to be in the bullpen, but time will tell. Yep, Darvish, for anyone just joining, Darvish, he exited today in the 6th, couldn't get through 6, had the hamstring issue. It was just a cramp. So we're all good there. All good there. Chad says D-backs are such a pesky team. 3 of 4 is awesome. The offense will only get better. That's how I'm feeling right now. Yeah. If you want to make sure I get to your comment, you can use that super chat button. Just a quick reminder there. Irie says about Grish, look, pretty much anything he does this year would be considered a bounce back. But man, on a bad day, it's a bad day for Trent. Offensively, yeah, but defensively, he's going to be solid. So it's kind of like Nola. Like, if there's other guys in the offense contributing and doing their thing, then I think the Padres can live with the bottom of the order not coming through sometimes. Devin says Nola looked lost, but you're right. We can't control it until Campy comes back. Yeah, pretty much. The Bat says the formula for Soto is simple. Be aggressive early when he gets pitches to hit. Like you're saying for Soto's success, be aggressive early when he gets pitches to hit. I mean, kind of, but there's been a lot of times this year where he's gotten pitches to hit and he's just swung through them. It feels like those pitches have been higher in the zone. Later in counts, I think it's smart for opposing pitchers to just attack Soto down because he's probably not going to swing at it because he likes to be selective and he thinks that the umpire is not going to call those pitches probably sometimes. So those pitches down like that, he's going to lay off on it and maybe you'll get a strikeout there. Or he's going to pull off of it. That's what I've noticed a lot from Soto this year is he's pulling off balls a lot, which is frustrating. And it seems like a simple fix, but when you're in that habit, and maybe now because of the habit he's gotten into, maybe now it's just natural reaction for him to be pulling off the ball, you just get deeper and deeper into that problem. I hesitate to talk about mechanics too much because, I mean, I'm just sitting here as a fan. I'm not a hitting coach. And Juan Soto, I think, knows way more about hitting than any of us do, or all of us do combined. Devin says Gallen is a Cy Young contender, so it was a tough task to overcome. It was especially rough seeing the first 3 hitters go over. Yeah. Chad asks, are you worried about Waka? Long-term, no. But this is probably the same thought that I had about Manaea and like Clevenger last year, right? Like, was I worried about Manaea at this point last year? Probably not. I think Manaea actually got off to a pretty good start as a starter. So Waka, yeah, he's had a rough couple starts. And the fastball, he's one of those guys, I think, that he just has to hit his spot with that fastball. If he doesn't hit a spot with the fastball, that the fastball is not going to be blowing guys away, right? What does it sit? Low 90s probably? I think that's what it is. So when he leaves pitches over the middle of the plate, he's going to get hammered. And that's what we've seen a little bit these last couple outings. Obviously, the Milwaukee outing was worse. That was just right out of the gate. Boom, boom, boom. Extra base hit after extra base hit. This last outing against the Diamondbacks, it wasn't right out of the gate. So if I had a concern, meter 1 to 10 about Waka, I'd probably be like a 4 or 5. I'm not like 7, 8. I'm not super worried right now. It's early in the year. And I look at his track record. I want to see more of a sample size from Waka before saying that I'm worried about Waka. I'm not worried about any Padres starter right now, to be honest. Some don't like Snell right now, and I don't. I'd wish that he would improve. He's coming off a pretty decent start his last outing. But I'm not worried about him because based on track record, he's going to turn it around in the second half. I just wish that he'd be more consistent, the whole year. But that's just not who he's been. Irie says, yeah, we got this roster for a reason to be able to compete with ace pitching. We can't win them all, but we have a right to be bothered by it. Yeah. Devin says, Tatis looks decent and right. The only 2 complaints I have with him is he takes wrong routes and airmails the cutoff man and allows a base runner to advance. Still early, so he should make a fix. Yeah. And, I mean, there are some people on social media that think that I'm like this big Tatis hater and all that. It's like, I guess they weren't following when I was posting daily countdown highlights of Tatis, starting like 23 days out until he returned. So, yeah, I'm not a Tatis hater. And Mud and Don were pointing out the same thing I was on the broadcast, like saying that he was just overthrowing, and in certain spots he could have had a lower throw and not allowed a runner get to second base, right? But I guess maybe they're only paying attention to what I say. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, with Tatis, the routes, maybe not, they're not all going to be great. Some of the throws aren't all going to be great, but he's going to learn. It's going to take time. I'm not worried about Tatis in the outfield. His athleticism, his arm, he's only going to get better. And it's early in this consistent outfield thing. Like, I know 2021 he played, but that was a long time ago. Again, he's 4 games in now playing the outfield at the major league level in major league games, not spring training or El Paso, but major league games. So it's early. It's going to take time. Just like it would take time if someone was transitioning, if Grish or someone was transitioning from the outfield to the infield, it would probably take some time to get used to, It's just going to take time. Tyler with a question. Do you think Odor will be cut before the trade deadline? Maybe. I mean, I think he'd be willing to go to El Paso if no other team's willing to pick him up. So I'd lean towards no. I wouldn't be surprised if he was cut before the trade deadline because Adam Engel, he's nearing a return from his rehab. He had a couple issues in spring training, so he's getting back. So is it Azokar that goes down when Engel gets activated, or is it Odor? Odor has the flexibility. He can play infield, he can play outfield. Engel and Azokar, both are speedy, both are defense first, glove first, both are righties, so I think that Odor would stay. But before the trade deadline, I lean towards no. Maybe after the deadline, if the Padres make some moves and they're like, yeah, we don't need him anymore, then they do. Or maybe I don't know if they can DFA him because he's a veteran. But maybe they find a trade partner for him. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not on the team at the end of the year. Devin asks, do you think Soto has a long stroke of his swing? It does seem long when he misses. I'll say that. But this is the swing that he's always had, and he's had a lot of success. So I'm not going to go critique his swing. All right. I'm going to get back to the chat, but just some updates here, injury updates. So, I already talked about the bullpen. That's not really injuries. Martinez, Weathers headed back to the bullpen with Musgrove back in the rotation. And I loved Nick Martinez's mentality. He was talking to Kevin Acee over the weekend and pretty much saying that, yeah, I'm up for whatever. I'm a team player. I'm up for whatever. He says, this is what I signed up for, so let's rock and roll. Like, he signed up for getting a shot as a starter, and if the Padres need him to go to the bullpen, then he's going to go to the bullpen. And he was told, I guess, according to Kevin Acee, that this move to the bullpen is temporary. So it probably makes it easier for Nick to be okay with going to the bullpen. But even if it wasn't temporary, he has his guaranteed money. That makes it easier as well. And he is a team player. Like, he's getting older and he wants to win. He knows he's on a really talented team, and injuries could happen. So it's kind of like, well, stay ready in the bullpen. They'll probably try to keep him built up. Maybe he's not having multi-inning appearances every time out in the bullpen, but he's still getting that work in, before the game, in bullpen sessions or live game situation or simulated game, situations to stay built up. But Nick's one of my favorite players. It's Crony. It's we all love, Nando and star players, but Manny, obviously. But like Musgrove for me, Crony, Martinez. I love Bogey already. Like, those are guys that stand out to me. Team players, willing to do whatever, leaders on the team. I love those guys. Just team first. That's definitely what they are. So Campy, like I talked about, left thumb remains immobilized. Don't know when he's going to throw next. So we're pretty much just going to have to live with the catching situation. Adrian Morejon throwing a bullpen on Tuesday in Chicago. I believe that's going to be his first time since exiting mid-March from one of those spring training games. I think it was against the Royals, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be his first time throwing off a mound since then. So he hasn't started a rehab assignment. So I would not expect him to come back till mid-May at best, probably. Because I think they'd probably take a different approach with him compared to Pomeranz. Drew Pomeranz is going to take at least one more rehab assignment, one more rehab outing on the rehab assignment before the Padres consider activating him, which, if he only has one more outing, that's a pretty short rehab assignment. 3 outings. 3 outings if you don't include the scheduled start that he was supposed to make for El Paso, but he had the neck strain, right? So 3 outings, that's not what Morejon's going to get. He's probably going to get more than that because he's younger and the Padres probably want to get him built up a little bit more than Pomeranz. Pomeranz, the guy just hasn't proven to be healthy, so the Padres don't want to waste bullets with Pomeranz down in the minor leagues when you could be using those in the big leagues. You have no idea when this guy's arm's going to fall off or when another issue is going to creep up during a game or when he's just warming up or throwing on the side. You don't know. So you could just be wasting bullets in AAA if you have him on an extended rehab assignment instead of a shortened one. So I think the Padres, they're like, let's just get what we can get out of this guy. And whatever we can get, that's great. And if he gets hurt, we're not going to be surprised. We can bring someone else up. At least we got something out of him at the big league level because we're paying a lot of money for this guy to do nothing. I think that's how they kind of feel about it. So it's not guaranteed that it's only going to be one more rehab outing for Pom, but it could be only one more outing if the Padres do want to go with that mentality that I was just hitting on. Like, let's get something out of him at the big league level. Any other updates? I mean, his first 2 outings, April 18th, 1 inning, no runs, no walks, a strikeout. Then April 21st, both of these were with Lake Elsinore, by the way. An inning, no runs, no walks. So I guess result. I mean, I haven't seen them, but box score wise, looks like everything's fine. If I were the Padres, I personally would choose the route of, yeah, let's just get him to the big leagues. Let's get whatever we can out of him, because you can't sit there and, you know, have a pen and, you know, pen Pomeranz into the bullpen when it matters most late in this year, right? Just get something out of him. Just based on track record with the Padres recently, he just has not been able to stay healthy. All right. I'll get to your comments. Don't worry. I'll definitely get to the rest of the comments. Again, if you want to make sure I get to your chat, because I'm going back and forth and sometimes it's hard to make sure I get to everyone's comment. Maybe I skip over comments. If you want to make sure I get to one, a question, a comment, you can use that super chat button. Definitely appreciate your support. Anyone who's just tuning in, podcast, YouTube show here, definitely appreciate it. All right. Let's get to the San Diego sports portion of the show real quick. San Diego State baseball, they were playing Nevada this weekend, and TJ Fontaine, shout out to him, threw the first no-hitter for San Diego State since Steven Strasburg did it in 2009 against Air Force. Strasburg obviously was one of the most hyped pitching prospects ever, and he lived up to it in that first outing against the Pirates as a national. But he threw a no-hitter in 2009. Fontaine, 9 innings in this last outing this past series. I believe that was Friday night. So I think that means he's San Diego State's ace, pitching on Friday night. 9 innings, 1 walk, 14 punch-outs, 127 pitches. 127 pitches, a no-hitter. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to the San Diego State program there. There was a great catch, I believe, in left center to end that game. There's highlights available online if you want to go watch those. So that had to be a cool moment for TJ. So good for him. I think he could get drafted or could be heading to professional baseball when his San Diego State career is over. So good for him. I just wanted to mention that for anyone that missed that. And then the San Diego Wave. I just finished watching that game. I was going to do the show earlier today after the Padres game, but then the Wave game, I remembered the Wave game was at 5. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to wait and I'm going to watch this Wave game and then I'll do it. But the Wave, they come away with a 2-0 win. They had some trouble offensively in that first half. It felt like Angel City, this game was in LA, by the way. It felt like Angel City had a lot of opportunities. They had the ball on their offensive end a lot more than San Diego did in that first half. But they had 0 shots on target the whole game. The announcers were saying that in the second half, and I was like, really? Because of how much time Angel City had the ball there in the first half, I figured they had something, but they didn't. And so the Wave, they bring home 3 points. Sophia Jakobsen came in as a sub. Mackenzie Doniak came in as a sub. So talk about showing off the depth. That's what the Wave did here on Sunday night in LA. Jakobsen, it was a good pass. And then a great shot. Had a quick turn. She was going down the right side of the field. Quick turn left. I believe left foot in. It was a great shot. And then Doniak, I don't know if they've counted this as an own goal or not, but it was still a good shot. I mean, she forced it. She forced Angel City to deflect that. And then Hericic, I think, is the Angel City goalie, had no chance of getting it because of the deflection. But yeah, Wave showing off the depth. This was a game that they won without Taylor Korniak, who is on the U.S. Women's National Team, probably going to make the World Cup roster alongside Alex Morgan and Naomi Girma. Kaylin Sheridan didn't get a whole lot of opportunities because even though Angel City, again, they had the ball a lot in that first half, there weren't shots on target. There were shots, attempted shots, but not shots on target a lot where Sheridan had to go make a save. So San Diego, with this win, they are now 3-1 on the season in regular season games. They are 4-1 overall. If you include the Challenge Cup, they won on Wednesday night against Portland in the first Challenge Cup game. And now they move into second place. They're tied for second with O'Reilly and Gotham. 9 points for those three teams. I believe Portland's still in first place. They're the best team in the league. They were the favorites going into this season. They won the whole thing last year. But the Wave, they're off to a really good start. And their next matchup is against the Orlando Pride at home at the Snap. That is on Saturday, the 29th. So you can make sure to get your tickets for that. The Padres, they're going to be in Mexico City, so it's not like they're going to be at Petco. Maybe some are going to the Mexico City. Let me know if you are. But yeah, in San Diego, that'll be the event to go to on Saturday night. So good win by the Wave. It was a little chippy there in the second half. There was some pushing in the back, some calls that weren't called. But hey, it's a rivalry. It's one of the best rivalries in the league, probably the best rivalry, two passionate fan bases. So that was fun to watch. And I like that they had it on television because a lot of the games are on Paramount Plus. Some are on CBS Sports, but this one was on Fox 5. So that was cool to be able to see it on TV. All right, getting back to the chat here. Viva Padres says, great stuff, Ben. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Roan says, why don't the Padres have a hitting coach? Well, they don't have an official hitting coach, but they have two, or maybe three. Yeah, three, I think. They have Morgan Burkhart, who was the first base coach for some reason today. I don't know why. Macias usually is. They have Ryan Flaherty, who's like the lead guy. They have Scott Coolbaugh, who came over from the Tigers. Michael Burdar, who was here last year. He went to the Tigers, so that was kind of weird. So they have three guys, but they don't have an official hitting coach title. Can't fire the hitting coach if you don't have one, I guess. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they don't want people blaming it on one guy. Like, oh, he's the hitting coach. Fire this guy, Yeah, I don't know why they don't have an official hitting coach, but they have three guys there. And the struggles are not on a hitting coach. They've never been on the hitting coach. They're not the ones in the box. Like, trust me, all the hitting coaches in the league are trying to help the hitters be better because guess what? If the hitters are doing well, they're probably going to keep their job. Tyler asked, concerns with Kim offensively? A little bit, yeah. But it's not like I came into the season with huge expectations for him. I mean, I was expecting him to hit where he is right now, hitting like 7th, 8th in the lineup. Hopefully get a little bit more power, a little more consistency, be a little bit better with the fastball. Haven't seen that so far much this year, but it's still a long season. I'm a little concerned, but again, if the rest of the lineup's coming through, the guys that we expect to come through, if they're clicking, then the bottom third, it'll just be gravy if they come through, right? It'll just be extra. KJ asks, is Dahl on the IL? Yes. Yep, he's definitely on the IL. He's with the team, but he's on the IL. Matt asked, did they ever update Luis Garcia's health? I think he's good because he was warming up in the bullpen today, so he should be good. That is good news. So I hope that he pitches on Tuesday because he has not pitched in a while, right? He has not pitched since, Friday, I think? I'm going to pull up my bullpen usage chart here real quick. Friday, 21st. He came off with the trainer. That's why I didn't know if he was hurt or not. But yeah, he hasn't been placed on the IL. He was on the mound in the bullpen today. I saw that. Bally showed that. So I'm guessing he's fine. Where's Adam Engel? He is almost done with his rehab assignment. I don't know if Scan on the broadcast today, if he did, I didn't catch it, if he knew like when Engel was coming back, but he's pretty close to coming back. Jason asks, any thoughts on Robbie Snelling, the Padres' number 5 prospect? I don't know much about him, except I saw Major League Baseball posted an article about his outing he had this week. Yeah, so he is one of the Padres' top prospects. Let me actually get that list up for you for the audience here. I just want to go through some of these names just so some of you can get familiar with some of these names. So Merrill's number 1, Lesko, Salas. I'm sure you've heard of those names. But then there's guys like Samuel Zavala, Robbie Snelling, Adam Mazur, Victor Lizarraga, Edgar Rosario, Jay Groom, Henry Williams. Those are the top 10. There's other guys that probably some have heard. Corey Howell, Joshua Mears, Turso Ornelius. I think that's how you pronounce his name. You've heard of some of those guys. Jay Groom, I think he'd come up at some point this year. I don't know if it would be a spot start or just because someone gets hurt in the bullpen, but I'd expect him to come up. But yeah, Robbie Snelling. Yeah, I've heard good things about him. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know a ton about him. But he's 19, playing for Lake Elsinore. And yeah, he's had some really good outings. His ERA is under 1 so far this year. A .82 ERA, 11 innings. So not a huge sample size, but 14 strikeouts in 11 innings. A .82 whip. So, yeah. April 21st was his last start. He went 5 innings, gave up just 1 run on 1 home run, struck out 6. The 2 outings before that, he went only 3 innings in each, but gave up 1 hit in each of the outings. So his numbers are looking really good, but he's young, so he's a ways away. But that's the extent pretty much of what I know about Robbie Snelling. So hopefully that's an okay answer for you. Matt, yeah, Engel, he is not in Peoria. He is with El Paso. Matt says, Pete Pomeranz was fun to watch. He was dominant. I don't recall him ever being rocked. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's what the Padres are juggling with. Do we bring Pomeranz up now, get the bullets, the good outings out of him? Or do we try to make sure he's, consistently healthy and risk him getting hurt and not getting a lot of bullets out of him? Because look at his career with the Padres recently. 2020 had a 1.45 ERA, less than 20 innings, less than 30 innings in 2021, but he had a 1.75 ERA. Last part of the year 2019 with Milwaukee, a 2.39 ERA. So yeah, he's an impact reliever, but just when he's on the mound. So yeah, it's frustrating. Again, my view is just bring him up as soon as possible. Just get whatever you can out of him. All right. So Padres Cubs, that's the next series. Padres have a day off on Monday. 3 games against the Cubs. We all know who's on the Cubs, Eric Hosmer. So that's definitely going to get talked about. I hope that the guy grounds out to second base every time. Maybe the Cubs just don't want to put him in the lineup. But yeah, it's an Andy Green, Eric Hosmer reunion. He hasn't been terrible, I don't think, offensively with the Cubs, but it's like the Eric Hosmer start, right? Pretty solid start, and then he's probably going to fall off a cliff. And he isn't even playing a lot at first base. Him and Mancini are switching off. So he hasn't had a lot of opportunities to mess up, but maybe he messes up at some point in this Padres-Cubs series, and then a lot of Padres fans can have a chuckle with that one. But the Cubs so far this year, just to give you some background, they are 12-9, so over 500, gotten off to a pretty good start. They just finished a series with the Dodgers, so a couple NL West teams after getting to hammer the A's. My gosh, the A's suck. The Cubs won 10-1 against the A's on Monday, 4-0, and then 12-2. Then they welcomed the Dodgers, lost 6-2 Thursday, won 13-0 on Friday. I think that was the Drew Smyly almost perfect game. Then lost 9-4, then lost today 7-3 to the Dodgers. So they dropped that series to the Dodgers, but they're still above 500. And the projected pitching matchups for this series, let me look those up for you here. My internet's going faster, so you're not going to have to wait as long for the internet to work, hopefully, because I plugged my laptop into that Ethernet cable. Went the Jim Russell route. So Monday, obviously, with the off day. Tuesday, Blake Snell against Justin Steele. Justin Steele has a sub-2 ERA. He's the Cubs' probably second best pitcher so far this year. Stroman is dealing so far this season. Then Wednesday, we'll see. So we'll see what the Padres can get out of Snell. Wednesday, Waka against Smiley. So Smiley coming off that great outing. Hopefully that was just one great outing and he doesn't do that again. Tuesday, Wednesday, those are at 4:40. And then Thursday, that is a day game, 11:20 our time. Seth Lugo on the mound for the Padres. And then the Padres, they have the off day Friday, second off day in the week. And then they have the 2 games in Mexico. It should be Musgrove and Darvish. Darvish is good. It was just cramps today. Musgrove, Darvish, Saturday, Sunday. And then the Padres will be back home for May 1st. And that is Tatis' first official home game. The Mexico games are home games, technically. But the first game at Petco Park for Tatis, May 1st. And my guy Will Myers returns to Petco. So that is going to be fun. I cannot wait for that game. That's the game. That's like, yeah, that's the game that I think I said on the show before the season started that I circled on the calendar. I know it's Padres Reds, like that doesn't stand out, but Tatis and Myers coming back, Tatis making his first Petco Park start in the lineup since 2021. Man, that place is going to be rocking on May 1st. Yes, former Dodger Cordy Bellinger. He's off to a pretty good start this year. Christian says, I think the Padres should call up Merrill and replace Kim at second base. Well, that's not going to happen. Merrill he's probably not going to come up this year. Maybe end of next year, second half of next year, maybe. I was impressed by what I saw in spring, but they're not replacing Kim at second base with a guy who's not ready yet. And it's still a small sample size this year with Kim. Like, he's great defensively. He's a bottom third hitter in the lineup. Yeah, hopefully it improves. Like, it's been disappointing, but it's still early. He's great defensively. He's going to start still the majority of games at second base for the Padres. All right. That'll do it. Episode 388. Thank you, everyone, for the time. By the way, again, that Manny issue, the back issue, I forget if I think I touched on a little bit at the beginning, near the beginning of this show. Don't have to worry about it, I don't think. That was just the turf, and it was good to get him a day off yesterday, and he looked fine today. It's just a slow start offensively, and he would say it's got to turn around as well. So that's it. Talking Ferris episode 388. Hopefully my internet was good for you. Ben Fadden signing off. I'll see everyone later. Padres, they took 3 out of 4. The Wave won. The Loyal won today. Good San Diego sports weekend. See everybody.